Day after the draft, it's time to pick up the pieces and start architecting the 49ers roster. We have all the ingredients now. We get to cook the meal. We get to see how exactly this is going to be constructed. 89 of 90 roster spots for the offseason are filled after 13 undrafted free agents have been signed. And the free agent who received the biggest guarantee, reportedly, is center Dohnovan West out of ASU, $100,000. So this is intriguing. And there's also a really intriguing guy named Jason Poe, who I'm going to talk about a little bit after Dohnovan West. But first, we're going to watch some Dohnovan West highlights, see exactly what the 49ers have here, because potentially they're going to need a new center next year, because we're not sure if Alex Mack is going to retire or not. So let's watch Dohnovan West out of ASU. I'm going to make the film a little bit bigger. He's going to be number 61 on your screen right there. Middle of the formation for the Sun Devils. He's a mobile guy. He's got lateral quickness as a pass blocker, and he's aggressive as a run blocker. This is a multiple running scheme at Arizona State, and you'll see here 61. All these plays replay at least once, so you're going to get to see Dohnovan West work in space. This is a bit of power blocking, teams up with the guard for the goal line touchdown. They got a nice setup over there in Tempe. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but not too far from the bars and good times at ASU. But Dohnovan West, he's been working on his craft. You could tell he's light on his feet. He just threw number 23 aside on that play. Obviously, he's working against smaller defensive tackles than he will at the NFL level, but in college, pass protection was not an issue for him. And right there, good little combo block helps out in pass pro. We'll go one more time through Dohnovan West's highlights just because I don't know if you were ready for the very first one here. He just owns the pass rusher trying to go up the A gap. That didn't work out. And obviously, in the NFL level, you're going to have much greater resistance, greater competition right up the middle. But Dohnovan West, the college level, was good. And there was a reason why he had a 4th to 5th round draft grade. The reason why he dropped to undrafted free agency, why the 49ers were able to nab him, well, he might need more mass and strength for the NFL level. He's 296 pounds, probably going to have to be over 300. He's going to have to grow into his body a little bit more for true proficiency at the pro level against monstrous 3 techniques, against monstrous nose tackles, guys that are going to line up over the center position. But that will come with time. Dohnovan West turns 21 years old on May 19th, and it's May 1st right now. So he's still 20. He's still young. He's an undrafted free agent, gets $100,000 guaranteed from the 49ers. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens at that center position moving forward, because we're still waiting right now. It all hinges on Alex Mack's decision. And to me, reading the situation from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, there's legitimate indecision on Alex Mack's part. Maybe we'll find out more soon, but Alex got married just a few weeks ago, honeymoon out in Ireland, and he's, undecided. He's at a fork in the road. He could either move on to firm family life. He's 36 years old, going on 37, so a good 16 years older, 17 years older than Dohnovan West, but he could still play. And we know that Alex Mack is a really, really proficient center, so we'll see what he decides moving forward at this crossroads. But the 49ers are waiting on that, and we shouldn't discount Jake Brendel. I know a lot of people are talking about Daniel Brunskill because he started 8 games for the 49ers and did an okay job at center in 2020. But Jake Brendel's a player who really impressed the 49ers during training camp last season to earn that backup center role. And if Mack doesn't return and the 49ers need a stopgap ahead of a Dohnovan West as a veteran, I would look at Jake Brendel, who actually has 3 career starts at a previous stop, because he has done things the right way for the 49ers, and they are very, very happy with his cerebral knowledge, his mastery of the system in the building. So keep an eye on that. But Dohnovan West, again, we could put that tape right back on. He can move. He fits into the 49ers outside zone scheme. He needs to add some strength. That's why I put the weaknesses up there. You could tell he's a little bit less than 300 in the film, but against college competition, he won those mano-a-mano battles on an island. Now, as a center, as you watch this tape, there's more at play than just winning one-on-one battles. And as a center, you're also often just going to be the helper to one of the guards. But because maybe there's not as much physically required from the center position, there's more required up here. there's more required from that mental mastery aspect of the game. And you have to know the defensive safety rotations. You have to be able to identify defensive fronts. You need to know where your guards are supposed to be. And probably more than anything else, as you watch this tape, you could tell that stuff on the inside happens quickly. There's a nice screen release from Dohnovan West, and he gets out into space and is blocking a defensive back on the second level. You could see here near the bottom of your screen when they replay this one. But, there's the help block. You could see stuff happening quickly on the second level, on the interior, and you have to be able to read and react probably even quicker than an offensive tackle on the outside with your mind. An offensive tackle has to be quick to beat the edge rusher to the step, right? But an interior lineman, especially a center, who's really the ringleader of not only the 5 offensive linemen, but especially the 2 guards on either side of them, you're going to have to, make split-second decisions within the context of the playbook, within the context of what the defense is doing to make sure that offense keeps on flowing. When the 49ers in 2020 really, really struggled, it's when they went to their 3rd or 4th string center in Hronis Grasu at Seattle. The Seahawks decided to test him to see how intellectually and how cerebrally he was commanding the game. They blitzed A-gap, 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 and Jimmy Garoppolo got destroyed over and over and over again. So you see the importance of the center position. I think especially in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. John Lynch the other day said something about center, not being as complex in Kyle Shanahan's offense. But the 49ers have a track record of going after veterans time and time again and paying for veterans at the center position. Shanahan coached Mack in Cleveland. Shanahan coached Mack in Atlanta. Shanahan has obviously coached Mack in San Francisco. But he brought in Weston Richburg for, $48 million back in 2018. That didn't work out because of injuries. But the center position is really important for the 49ers. And that's why we also can't rule out a pursuit of somebody like J.C. Tretter, a veteran who's still available, familiar with at least something related to the 49ers scheme with his time under Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. And Tretter's still a free agent. We're just waiting on Alex Mack. So I think that's one of the operative decisions. But Dohnovan West, undrafted free agent, slipped into the UDFA rounds, right? Even though he had that 5th-round draft grade because of the mobility. Tough for him, made less money, $100K guaranteed from the 49ers instead of a larger signing bonus that would have come in the 5th round, but the 49ers are certainly happy to have him. Another guy the 49ers are happy to have is this guy, Jason Poe, a interior lineman out of Mercer, but Jason Poe is more than that. And we have to watch this video to understand what Jason Poe is fully about. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger on the screen and give you guys a shot to enjoy Jason Poe.
Jason Poe, Mercer University, interior offensive line / fullback, 300 pounds, 6'1".
This is a 300-pounder. Keep in mind that you're watching a 300-pounder running pass routes right now. Appreciate what you see. Nice in cut. I mean, he's not just playing catch. This guy's actually running pattern. This is a deep ball, and he's got soft hands, too. He had to slow down for that ball. Quarterback is underthrowing him. I mean, he can move. I think Jason Poe said that it's like a 4.8, 4.9 40 for him. Might be hand timed, but I mean, still at 300 pounds, it's insanely quick. These are the center snapping drills. Showing that he's got that burst for the outside zone. So the 49ers signed this guy yesterday. He's part of their undrafted free agent class. He obviously went to a small school, went to Mercer. So what do we make of that? We'll see. But Jason Poe, I mean, you put on that tape and you say that you see that he calls himself a fullback. You see that he's got hands. You see that he can cut. And you're like, well, might Kyle Shanahan think about making this guy an offensive skill position weapon? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Jason Poe will make the 49ers roster as a skill position player, but I think he can make the roster as a backup offensive lineman, backup center potentially, especially if Alex Mack does retire. And then Kyle Shanahan can get creative and use this guy in package play. I mean, why not? I mean, the 49ers philosophy has been to take advantage of downsizing defenses. I mean, DBs around the league have gotten progressively smaller. DBs around the league, because of all these new rules in football, especially practice rules, have essentially forgotten how to tackle. And the 49ers philosophy offensively has been to take advantage of that by going for brick house unit wide receivers and tight ends, the Yak brothers, to run through this degrading, eroding form of tackling in NFL. So that's where you have Deebo Samuel come in. That's where you have George Kittle come in. That's where you have Juwan Jennings come in. The 49ers lead the league in yards after the catch year after year after year because they're simply more physical than opposing tacklers. So it's not insane to me to think that in specialty package play, gadget weapon play, if you will, normally we think of gadget weapons as Ray McLeod, guys that are 5'9". But it's, not out of the question to me for a gadget weapon, given the fact that Kyle Shanahan loves the zag when the league is zigging with size at his skill positions. It's definitely not out of the question for me to see Jason Poe causing a defensive back to cower in complete terror in the open field. And I mean, if you want to innovate the game, and Kyle Shanahan, I think, has been one of the most innovative minds as an offensive coach, this is something you have to consider. The smaller defenses get, the smaller DBs get, the more they leave themselves vulnerable to a 300-pounder completely pulverizing them. Now, again, rosters have limited spaces. So in a 53-man roster, you probably don't have time for that kind of experiment if Jason Poe is just showing up to play slot receiver and can't do anything else. You're not going to say, okay, fine, 300-pound slot receiver, go for it. But if he's an offensive lineman, an auxiliary offensive lineman, if he can make the team as a center, and the 49ers might need a center, maybe they go for it. Right? Maybe they go for it, and maybe they have a specialty play, specialty weapon they could use initially one time every 2 weeks, but maybe that grows into something. The sport of football evolves, and maybe we're at the center of one of these evolutions. Because I saw that tape yesterday from Jason Poe, and I saw that the 49ers signed him. They signed him, and he advertises himself as a fullback. And we know that Kyle Shanahan loves using a fullback, and that fullback doesn't just mean fullback. That fullback means lining up all over the formation, positionless skill positions. Well, this would be positionless skill positions to the absolute max. This would be a guy playing offensive line, but also catching the football, also running the football, and also taking DB's heads off. So we'll see how that works. I put the two eyes down there, as you can see. When I watch Jason Poe, I have the eye emoji going on. We're going to take a quick look at the 49ers depth chart just to give you some perspective on the center position and what the chances of Dohnovan West and Jason Poe making the roster are. So here you go. Take off the eye emoji. There's the depth chart. I'm working on it right now for an Athletic article. I've narrowed the roster down to a projection of 54 players. The 49ers have 89 total, counting against the 90-man limit. As you can see here, I'm going to zoom in on the offensive line, and I'm going to highlight who I have making the team in my initial projection. Obviously, Trent Williams, left tackle, Aaron Banks, left guard, Alex Mack, center, Daniel Brunskill, right guard, and Mike McGlinchey, right tackle. Alex Mack is considering retirement. And if he does retire, I think the 49ers would obviously have to make their move at center. They talk up Jake Brendel. He could potentially be the guy. And I think that Brendel being the initial guy, if the 49ers don't sign somebody like J.C. Treader, of course, that's the big asterisk here. Brendel being the official guy would allow the 49ers some flexibility because it would keep Daniel Brunskill at right guard for the time being, but it also allows Spencer Burford, who is highlighted in blue, he's one of the rookies here, it would allow Spencer Burford a legitimate shot to not only compete for the right guard spot, but compete for the right guard spot in a way that if he would win that right guard spot at some point, would unlock big-time flexibility for the 49ers offensive line. Because if Burford can take over Brunskill's right guard spot, you free up Brunskill to be what he's best at, and that's a utility offensive lineman moving across the formation. If Brunskill can be a utility offensive lineman and essentially your swing tackle, well then, Colton McKivitz might not make the roster, right? All of a sudden, you free up a roster spot, and the 49ers are really, really tight on roster spots. And in that case, maybe a Jason Poe, maybe a Dohnovan West can make the roster. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. They're undrafted free agents. You don't just walk in as an undrafted free agent and be on the inside of a 53-man roster projection. It simply doesn't work that way. You have to earn your spot, and some stuff has to break your way if you're a UDFA to make that 53-man roster. So I hope that illustrates just how crowded the 49ers O-line room is. But yes, Dohnovan West, Jason Poe, both of those guys have a shot, but it just depends on how this all shakes out. And I think one of the big dominoes is the Alex Mack situation. So one more time, really quick look at Dohnovan West. This is a mobile offensive lineman who got a $100,000 guarantee from the 49ers. That's the highest guarantee out of any of their undrafted free agents, at least based on the numbers that have been reported so far. And he's a fit. He absolutely is. But he's going to take some seasoning because he's a little bit light for that NFL level. But this is still intriguing. It still comes at a potential position of need as we wait to see what exactly is going to happen with Alex Mack as he ponders retirement. All right, everybody, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Both of those help the channel. Yesterday we had a show where over 1,000 of you, I think, simultaneously were on. That was really, really cool. That was our post-draft show. Today, I'm a little bit more casually dressed. I've taken off the blazer and I put on the sweater, and I have to go right. I'm going to go finish up a 49ers depth chart article, and that is going to come out for you tomorrow. So stay tuned to the channel. There's going to be a whole lot more coming. Hope you enjoyed this look at a couple of the 49ers undrafted free agents. As you know, I cover the whole roster top to bottom. So I hope that you're enjoying the coverage. If you do, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and everybody have a great Sunday. And I hope you enjoy the Warriors game. They're playing in just about an hour and a half. Everybody take care.